Hello everyone. So now we are going to talk about organizational planning. So this is the part 2 of the chapter 2, right? So organizational planning, what is this? Concepts and principles related to planning. Planning is the most fundamental of the 4 management functions. So there are 4 management functions: planning, organizing, leading and controlling. So this is one of the fundamental functions, right? And planning involves setting objectives. So here we set objectives, right? And determining course of action for achieving those objectives. Here in planning we decide our objectives and as well as the actions, what we need to do, right? The action plan. So we decide what are the actions that we should take to achieve those objectives, right? It is the part of management concerned with creating procedures, rules and guidelines for achieving organizational stated objectives, right? And all other managerial functions must be planned if they are to be effective. So here in planning, it is very crucial because it is one of the major functions of management process, and we should have a plan. Always we should have a plan, right? අපිට අපේ ජීවිතේ හරි අපි කරන කාර්යයක හරි අපි පාඩම් කරද්දි හරි අපි එක්සෑම් එකකට හරි එක්සෑම් එකට රෙඩි වෙන්න හරි අපිට හැමතිස්සෙම ප්ලෑන් එකක් තියෙන්න ඕනේ. ඒ වගේ ඕගනයිසේෂන් එකකත් හැමදේටම අපි හැමදේම ප්ලෑන් කරන්න ඕනේ. Planning is one of the crucial part, right? And in the absence of planning, all the business activities will become meaningless. අපි හරියට ප්ලෑන් කරලා විභාගයකට සූදානම් වුණේ නැත්නම්, අපි හරියට ප්ලෑන් කරලා අපි හිතමු වෙඩින් එකක්, අපි හිතමු මොකක් හරි ෆන්ක්ෂන් එකක්, අපි හරියට ප්ලෑන් කරලා මෙන්න මේ දේවල් වෙන්න ඕනි, මෙන්න මේ බුකින්ග්ස් අපි දාන්න ඕනි, මේ අපේ සාමාන්‍ය ජීවිතේ. හරිද? එතකොට ඒ දේවල් ප්ලෑන් කරලා කරේ නැත්නම් අන්තිමේට ෆන්ක්ෂන් එක දවසට මොකද වෙන්නේ? කිසිම දෙයක් පිළිවෙලට සිද්ධ වෙන්නේ නැහැ. ෆොටෝග්‍රැෆර්ස්ලා නැහැ, හරියට ඇඳුම් ටික නැහැ, පිළිවෙලට කිසිම දෙයක් ඕඩර් එකට සිද්ධ වෙන්නේ නැහැ. හැම දෙයකටම අපේ සාමාන්‍ය ජීවිතේ ප්ලෑන් එකක් ඕනේ. ඒ වගේම තමයි ඕගනයිසේෂන් එකක we have objectives, we have goals to achieve. So for that අපිට තියෙන්නේ අපි කොහොමද මේ goal එකට යන්නේ, කොහොමද අපි මේ goal එකට reach වෙන්නේ කියලා plan එකක්. මොනවාද අපි ඒකට කරන්න ඕනි කියලා plan එකක්. එහෙම නැත්නම් without a plan it's meaningless, right? Definitions. So for this there are few definitions, right? Where the organization wants to be in the future and how to get there. කොහෙද කවදා හරි අපි ඉන්න ඕනි, එතෙන්ට යන්නේ කොහොමද? Richard L. Daft said that where we need to be and how to get there, right? Planning is a process of setting organizational goals and deciding how best to achieve them, or a process of establishing goals and suitable course of actions for achieving those goals. So it talks about the goals, objectives and the action plan. What are the action we need to take? Planning is a process of identifying an organization's immediate or short term and long term. Short term and long term. What we should do in short term and what should we do in long term. To what? Objectives and formulating and monitoring specific strategies to achieve them. Yes, so nature or characteristics of planning. There are few characteristics, right? Not few actually, there are characteristics. So primacy of planning. Here it is the first and primary activity of managerial functions, right? Planning, this process starts with planning, right? So it is the primary activity. Planning is a process. Planning itself is a process. It's a part of a process, the part of managerial process. And also planning itself is a process. We'll see in next slides, there's a process, planning process. We will discuss it later, right? Planning is a process of management. Unity or persiveness of planning. Planning is a function which exists in all levels of managerial hierarchy. So planning it is not only in top level management. Planning is done by all the levels, like top level and mid level and like lower level managers, right? They contribute on it, right? Future orientation, planning, we plan for the future to achieve objectives, to achieve goals, right? We plan for future. අපි එක්සෑම් එකකට පාඩම් කරන්නේ අපි පාස් වෙන්න ඕනේ නිසා. පාස් වෙනවා කියන එක future activity එකක්. අපි plan කරන්නේ ඒක පාස් වෙන්න. ඒ වගේ when it comes to an organization we have goals and objectives, right? So we are planning for the future. Information base, we need information, right? Planning requires a lot of authentic information of the organization based on which the plan will be formulated. Information about present, future, past are needed for good planning. What happened in the past, what is happening in the present, and what will be there in the future, right? So we need all the information. Rationality. Planning is made based on reasons that should be rational, logical, right? Rather than emotions. Without making decisions based on emotions, those are not successful at all. We need information, we need to have research on, we need to research on it, right? When we are making decisions like that, when we are planning, we need to be rational. Will it be a success? Can we achieve it? Right? අපි දෙකට plan කරනවා. ඒක achieve කරන්න පුළුවන් වෙන්න ඕනේ. achieve කරන්න බැරි plans වලට අපිට යන්න බෑ. Those are not successful, right? Formal and informal nature. Sometimes it's formal and sometimes it's informal. Formal planning is done through investigation, analysis of various factors. So it's very formal. We do researches and we analyze data, and based on that we plan something. Informal planning is done by the managers. It also done by the managers and communicated them to other through the word of mouth. මේක මෙහෙම වෙන්න ඕනි කියලා අපි කටින් තමයි කියන්නේ, the word of mouth, right? Informal planning is considered as a trial and error process. So it is concerned as a trial and error, right? So that is how the nature of planning. Importance of planning. Why it is important? Why the planning is important? Planning is based on organizational current situation. So based on the current situation, we plan, right? This allows managers to avoid risk and be prepared for the future. So we make this plan. We plan based on the current situation of the organization, and it allows managers to prevent the risk or mitigate risk in future, right? Then the managers can prepare for it. The best managed companies tend to engage in continuous planning. They do not stop at one point. They continuously planning, right? Process due to the ever-changing business environment. Why? The business environment, technology, the economy and society, the environment is changing. Day by day it's changing. So the planning is a continuous process, right? It is necessary to identify advantages and disadvantages lie in it when planning, right? So we need to concern about, is it good for our company? Or is it bad for our company? So we need to recognize, is it an advantage or is it a disadvantage, right? It is great to be optimistic about the future, but important to be realistic. We should be optimistic, right? But we need to be realistic, right? මේක මෙහෙම වෙන්න පුළුවන්. මේක අපි මෙහෙම කරන්න ඕනි කියලා හිතුවට හැබැයි මෙහෙම දේවලුත් වෙන්න පුළුවන්. මෙහෙම ප්‍රශ්න එන්න පුළුවන්. එහෙම නොවි අනේ අපිට මේක කරන්නම පුළුවන්. අපි මේක කරනවා. එහෙම ලෙවල් එකකින් නෙවෙයි. මෙහෙම ප්‍රශ්න අපිට අනාගතේ එන්න පුළුවන්. මෙහෙම changes සමහරට ටෙක්නොලොජි එක වෙනස් වෙන්න පුළුවන්. එතකොට මේ plan එක success නැති වෙන්න පුළුවන් කියලා අපි realistic වෙන්න ඕනේ. Right? Business plans must appreciate that there are serious risks, right? and need to make provisions for avoidance of such risk, right? That is why earlier we said that we need to be more realistic without being optimistic, right? We need to like accept that there are serious risks can happen, right? Advantages of planning and its importance for a business organization. So, what are the advantages of planning? Planning provides direction. So, if we have a plan, we know what to do next, right? අපිට එක්සෑම් එකකට පාඩම් කරන්න හොඳ plan එකක් තියෙනවා නම් අපි දන්නවා අපි කොතනද ඉන්නේ. අපිට තව කොච්චර පාඩම් කරන්න තියෙනවද? මම මේ තේරෙන විදිහට ඕගොල්ලන්ට තේරුම් ගන්න පුළුවන් විදිහට කියන්නේ. හරිද? So අපි කොතනද ඉන්නේ? කොච්චරක් කරන්න ඕනිද? අපිට තව කරන්න කොච්චර දේවල් ඉතුරු වෙලාද? මම තව කොච්චර දේවල් පාඩම් කරලා නැද්ද? So if we have a plan, we know where are we, right? So it provides a direction. So this is what I should do next, right? It's provided direction. The goals of the company are defined in simple and appropriate terms, right? Results of this process is that all the employees get a direction, right? All the employees of the organization, they get a direction and all their attempts are targeted towards a particular end. So employees la හැමතැනම යාලගේ target එක ගෙනියන්නේ නැහැ. They have a direction. They have something to achieve, the exact target, right? Planning has a crucial part in the achievement of goals of the company. So we plan for what? Right? We set objectives for what? At the end of the day, we have goals to achieve, right? Example, suppose a company fixes sales target under the process of planning. Thereafter, all divisions, purchase, personnel and finance, etc. will decide their goals in perspective of the sales target. So, sales department, they set the target, but all the employees should contribute on it, right? Purchasers from various departments, they have to contribute for that, right? Planning decreases threats of uncertainty. So it helps to decrease the uncertainty, right? How? Planning is always done for upcoming and upcoming is unclear, right? We don't know what will happen next. It's unclear, right? So planning decreases the threats of uncertainty. That's why, like it should be like realistic without being optimistic. That I said earlier, right? With the help of planning, possible changes later on are expected. So here, changes can happen, right? And various actions are organized in the best possible way, right? That can change. Through planning, risk of upcoming concerns can be reduced. So we have a good plan. That is not an optimistic one, that is a realistic one. And we have made this plan based on information. So it is some kind of a good plan, right? And that will help us to reduce upcoming threats, risk, right? Example, to fix a sales target, a survey can be undertaken, right? That's what I told you, we need information. Current information, past information and future information. To find out the number of new companies likely to enter the market, right? By keeping these facts in mind and planning the future activities, the possible difficulties can be avoided, right? We know that these are the competitors and these are the competitors that already in the market and who are the competitors that are going to be here in the future, right? We need to collect more information and now we know who are the competitors and how we need to address the issue, right? And planning decreases overlapping and inefficient activities. We need to be efficient, right? So planning helps that. How? Under preparing, upcoming actions are organized to experience goals. The questions of when, where, what and why are almost made the decision. This point is an end to problems and doubt and end to overlapping and wasteful actions, and coordination important among different actions and divisions, right? So, planning decreases overlapping, right? How? Like it coordinates among divisions, right? So we are planning, we have a plan, and it is a when planning, I told you that all the stages, like from top level management to the middle level management to lower level management, they have engaged when we are planning, right? So it reduces the overlapping. මේක තව තැනක වෙන විදිහකට plan කරලා තියෙන්න පුළුවන්. තව department එක තව විදිහකට plan කළා. ඒ overlap වෙන එක නවතිනවා. මේ ඒ risk එක අඩු වෙනවා. අපි planning හරියට කරද්දී. අපි planning හරියට කරනකොට ඔක්කොම management level එක අපේ employees ලගේ අදහස් මේ හැමදේම අරන්නේ කරන්නේ. එතකොට planning decreases overlapping and inefficient activities, right? Planning encourages impressive ideas. How? Planning choose the best substitute out of the many availables, right? So there might be many alternatives, right? So decisions, and the plan is going like they choose the best substitute, the best alternative, right? All the solutions do not come to the manager on their own, but they must be found. The manager should found the substitutes, the alternatives, right? Solutions. Many new concepts may appear and need to analyze them too intensively to be able to figure out the best out of them. So how these new concepts come? So we need to get all the engagement of all the levels, right? We need to listen to our employees, managers. So they will come up with new concepts, right? New solutions. So it's encourage impressive ideas. How we are going to encourage? Like we need to respect others' ideas, right? We need to listen to them and get their feedbacks. Planning helps decision making. Through planning, a wide range of solutions are found and best option is selected. The planning places the focus on selection, right? What is the best option to solve that specific problem? So planning select the best option, right? Also places down the requirements for analyzing consideration. So yeah, so if there is something to be further analyzed, so we know that what to be analyzed and we can focus on that. In this way, planning facilitates selection. So planning will help us to select the most suitable option, right? Planning determines requirements for controlling. How? By determining the goals of the company through planning, all the people working in the company and all the divisions are advised about when, what and how to do things, right? Standards are set down about their work, initiatives and costs, etc. So here when planning something, we decide how to do it, when to do it, what to do, right, like that, right? So in a plan, they have already decided, they set the standards on the work that they should do, right? So initiatives and cost that included in specific functions, right? The plan is consists with all of them. Under managing at the time duration of finishing work, the actual work done contrasts with the standard work, and diversion are found out, and if the work has not been done as preferred, the person involved are attributed. We'll see this through this example, right? A laborer is to do 10 units of working day, right? It's a matter of planning. But he finishes 8 units. So this employee, he should finish 10 units, right? In a working day. But he was able to finish only 8 units. Thus, there is a damaging difference of 2 units. But there's 2 units has been damaged. For this, he is attributed, right? Measurement of actual work, information of differences and having the laborer accountable drops under the managing. Thus, in the lack of planning, controlling is not possible, right? So, to control something, the planning should be very planning should be a quality one, a good one, right? When it comes to controlling, like if we need to control something, the plan should be a proper one, like it should be a best one, right? Major disadvantage of business plan is that people get carried away with a plan and lose the focus on reality. So when we are working on a plan, working based on a plan, sometimes we lose the focus. අපි මේ plan එකටම වැඩ කරන්න මේකම කරන්න ඕනේ. හැබැයි reality එක සමහරවිට එහෙම නැවෙන්න පුළුවන්. ඒ කියන්නේ reality කියන්නේ environment එකේ එන දේවල් නිසා, අපේ internal factors ඉඳලා ඒ දේවල් හරියට plan එකේ දේවල් නිසා plan එකේ විදියට වෙන්නේ නැති වෙන්න පුළුවන්. right? හැබැයි අපි හිතාගෙන plan එකේ විදියටම කරන්න ඕනේ. plan එකේ විදියටම කරන්න. එහෙම කරන්න බෑ. අපි අපේ control එක lose කරගන්නවා. reality එක ගැන හිතන එක නවතිනවා සමහරවිට plan එකක් මැත්තේම වැඩ කරද්දී. right? And their environment. Also we lose the focus on environment. Environment එකේ තියෙන දේවල් ගැන concern එක මග ඇරිලා යනවා. එහෙම වුණාම ඒක අනිවාර්යෙන් අපේ plan එකට බාධාවක් නේ. හැබැයි අපිට ඒ focus එක නැති වෙලා යනවා. It is important to update, right, about what happened and how to adjust according to the market changes. So when it comes to an organization, we need to be updated all the time. These changes are happened, so this is how it affects to our plan, right? So we need to update our plan accordingly, right? Nature of business direction. So here its plan is there, like planning, the process is here, right? Planning decides the future direction of the organization, and also it identifies the strategies, right? Planning deciding the future direction of the organization, and also it identifies the strategies. So when it comes to the future direction, need to identify in the planning process using vision and mission. So here when it comes to planning, this is the point where we decide the vision and the mission of our organization, right? So planning decides the vision and mission or the future direction, right? And identify the strategies. Identify how to achieve the expected outcome in the future, right? The ways, the strategies, the methods, right? That we should apply in order to achieve the expected outcomes. So the mission and vision, right? So these are the two areas that planning concern. Nature of future direction. So when it comes to the first one, nature of future direction. Here, when it comes to this graph, the mission, strategy and tactics are here, right? Mission. When it comes to mission, it's like the end is the vision, right? Through mission, we focus on achieving the vision, right? Strategies are here. Strategies for what? To achieve these missions. Tactics, we divide the strategies into like small parts, like, so those are tactics. So there are tactics to achieve strategies. Through strategies we are moving to achieve the mission, right? So the objectives are formulated from what? Based on these tactics, right? And from here the objectives we focused on what? To achieve goals, right? The goals, we are trying to achieve the vision of the organization. Through goals, that is where we need to go, the vision, right? This is how the future direction works, right? So there are tactics, and we implement tactics to achieve these strategies, and also and then we are moving to the mission, right? And then here it's vision, goal and objectives are there. So what is a vision? So when it comes to vision, the ultimate goal, right? communicates both the purpose and values of the business, right? So, purpose and values of the business. It decides where the company should direct or state what the organization aspire to become in the future. So, our vision, where we should be in the future, right? So, what we should become in the future. So, these are some examples from some well-known companies. The vision of Mobitel is to lead Sri Lanka towards an infocom and knowledge-rich society through our service offering. So that's the vision of Mobitel. And when it comes to Bank of Ceylon, to be the nation's preferred bank with a strong global presence, providing customer-centric, innovative financial solutions. So that is where they expect to be in the future. And Dialog, to be the undisputed leader in the provision of multi-sensory connectivity, resulting always in the empowerment and enrichment of Sri Lankan lives and enterprises. So these are some examples for vision. Discuss the purpose and the value of the business, and it has mentioned that the direction, like where they need to be in the future, right? Mission. So, define the purpose and primary objectives related to the customer needs and the team values. Mission decides how the organization should achieve its destination. So, mission decides how we are going to go there, right? Going to reach our destination. Mission. Mission reflects the organization's past and present by stating why the organization exists and what role it plays in the society, right? So, commercial bank, when it comes to the mission statement of commercial bank, this is how they present their mission, how they reflect the organization past and the present by stating why the organization exists and what the role they play in the society, right? Providing reliable, innovative, customer-friendly financial services, utilizing cutting-edge technology and focusing continuously on productivity improvement, with developing our staff and acquiring necessary expertise to expand locally and regionally. So this is their mission statement, right? So this is the mission statement of Dialog. So you can read. This is somewhat lengthier than the vision statement, right? This is how they present that their purpose, the primary objectives, right? So when it comes to goals, goals are like the purpose towards which the organization or some organizations are directed. So those are not strictly measurable or tangible, and it's focused on where we are moving to, the purpose towards which an organization and where is directed. අපි කොහෙටද focus කරගෙන ඉන්නේ කියලා. Like overall organizational goals. So we have overall organizational goals, we have sales department goals, we might have marketing department goals. For the HR department, they have separate goals, right? So when it comes to examples for this, when it comes to overall organizational goal, so sometimes they might have a goal to expand the market presence, right? So increase market share by entering 2 new regional markets within the next year. So this is one of the goals, right? And enhance brand reputation. So this is another goal, right? Achieve recognition as a top industry leader through a series of high profile towards a media coverage over next 18 months. So it has mentioned a specific period of time, right? And sales department, when it comes to sales department, they have a goal to increase the revenue. How? Grow annual sales revenue by 20% over the next fiscal year. So they have a time period, specific time period, right? And expand customer base, acquire 100 new clients in the next 12 months, right? Marketing department goals, build new brand awareness, improve lead generation. So these are some examples for goals, right? The goals can be differ. The various divisions, they might have various like different goals, but all the goals are like they all the goals, all of them are directed towards what? To achieve their vision, right? Objectives. So when it comes to objectives, a specific result that a person or system aims to achieve. It's a specific result, right? It's a specific result within the time frame and with available resources. Giving an example for objective is rather difficult, but by combining goals with the objective is easy to understand below. Objectives are more specific and easier to measure than goals, right? And it is basic tool that underline the planning and strategic activities. That is very basic. The basis of creating policy and evaluating performance. So the objectives is work as a base to evaluate performance. Based on that, we can evaluate the performance of employees, performance of various divisions, right? And especially objectives should be SMART. How? The objectives should be specific. The first thing is they should be specific. What? There are several key factors which should be present in the objectives that are set in order for them to be effective. They should be described in result that is desired specifically. So, in the objective, they should mention the result that they desire, right? Where we can see, I'll give you an example, right? These are some examples, I'll come for that. And it should be measurable, that specific desire or the result should be measurable, right? In order to be able to use the objectives as a part of review process, it should be very clear whether the person met the objective or not. So we should have the measurable objective, and at the end of the day, when we are evaluating the performance, we can observe, we can see that this person or this division has achieved this specific objective or not, right? So it should be measurable. Achievable. I told you that when we are planning, we need to be more realistic, right? So when it comes to objectives, it is more like it should have a specific result. So that specific result should be what? It should be achievable. Eka laba ganna puluwan, achieve karaganna puluwan deyak wenna oni. Right? And reasonable enough to achieve. Realistic. Again, objectives that recognize factors that cannot be controlled. Right? Realistic goals are potentially challenging, but not so challenging that the chance of success is small. Right? So when it comes to an objective, that should be a realistic one, the logical one, rational one, right? Time-based, there should be a period for any objective that should be fulfilled within the given time frame, right? So this is one of the example, increasing the profitability by 50%, 5% during next year, right? Let's move on to some examples, right? So there are several different divisions in an organization. So these are some departments like sales team, customer service, product development, and IT department. So this is an example, right? This is 4 examples. When it comes to sales team, the objective is increase quarterly sales revenue by 15% within the next 3 months. So here it says elaborated like this, like the SMART, how it becomes SMART, this objective, right? Specific. So it is specific how they are targeting on increase the sales revenue. It's very specific, right? They want to increase the sales revenue. And it is measurable. From what? Like they want to increase the sales revenue by 15%. Achievable. Is it achievable? Based on current trends and past performance. They gathered information from what? They gathered information based on current trends and past performance. Right? So they know that it is achievable. Relevant. Directly impacts revenue growth. Is it relevant to our organization? Yes, it's relevant. It's direct, like it will grow the revenue, right? And time bound. They have set this goal within the next 3 months. So they are targeting the next 3 months, right? So this is how it has become SMART. When it comes to customer service, objective, they have set an objective, achieve a customer satisfaction score of 90% or higher within the next 4 months by enhancing training for customer service representatives. So they are going to train their customer service representatives for what? To achieve customer satisfaction score 90% or higher within next 4 months. So this is how it has like become a SMART objective. Let's see how. It is specific. Why? They need to achieve a customer satisfaction score. Specific, right? And how? Is it measurable? Yes, by 90% or more. Achievable. Is it achievable? Yes, with improved training for staff. This is how they are going to achieve it. Is it achievable then? Yes, if we train our staff, we can achieve it. Is it relevant? Is it relevant to our organization? Yes. How? Directly relates to customer experience. So it will again impact to our revenue, right? Sales. Time bound within next 4 months. This is how it happens, right? And when it comes to this, product development. Objective. They have set an objective. Launch a new product line within 8 months that generates 5 lakhs in revenue in the first 6 months post-launch. So, is it specific? Yes. Launch a new product line. They are going to launch a new product line for what? Is it measurable? Yes. So, they are focusing on 5 lakhs in revenue, right? Is it achievable? Yes, based on market research and product feasibility. They have set this objective based on what? Market research and product feasibility, right? Relevant? Is it relevant to our organization? Yes, support the growth and diversification. And the time, it's 8 months, launch and revenue target in the first 6 months. So, time is mentioned there, right? Like that, this is again related to ID department. You can read this. I think you can understand anyway. I'll explain it. Objective is to increase system uptime to 99.9% over the next 6 months by upgrading infrastructure and implementing new monitoring tools. So here, what is the specification? It's increase the system uptime. And is it measurable? Yes, 99.9%. Is it achievable? How they are going to achieve it? Through infrastructure upgrades and new tools. And is it relevant? Yes, essential for operational reliability. And time? What's the time? They have a specific time for this. It's 6 months over this next 6 months. So this is how, these are some examples for SMART objectives, right? This is how we are going to set a SMART objective. We need to consider about these facts and then we build up this objective, right? So this is the planning process. Now we are going to the planning process. There are like 8 steps in planning process: environmental scanning, establish mission, goals and objectives, establish reasonable assumptions of environmental changes, developing alternatives, evaluating alternatives and select best one out of it, preparing assisting plan to implementation, and then we need to control and review the performance. You need to study this, right? You need to remember these steps. So when it comes to the first step of the planning process, what's the first step? Environmental scanning. So we need to consider the internal environment and the external environment of the organization. So when it comes to internal organization, we need to do a SWOT analysis for this. I think you know the term SWOT analysis. SWOT, strengths, weaknesses, opportunities and threats. And when it comes to the external factors, we need to do a pestle analysis in order to recognize the threats and opportunity, like the factors that are affecting to, external factors that are affecting to the organization, right? So when we are moving to SWOT analysis, we need, like when it comes to SWOT, S means strengths, like internal positive factors. The organization, as an organization, what are the positive things that we have? And when it comes to W, it's weaknesses. What are the weaknesses? The negative factors that we need to consider. And then opportunities, the external factors outside the organization. What are the external factors that will affect to our organization? And opportunities, external positive factors, and threats, external negative factors, right? As an example, when it comes to strength, it is internal. Like if we are efficient, if we are ethical when it comes to our operations, right? It is a strength, right? And if we have a skilled workforce and we have expertise in the area, that's a strength. And if we have a good market share as an organization, if we have a good market share, it's a strength. And if we have a good financial base, it's a strength. And if you have a good trustworthy reputation, it's a strength. And when it comes to weaknesses, like if we have outdated facilities, the technology, right? It is since the environment, the society, and these factors, like these are ever changing, but still we have an outdated system, the facilities within the organization. So is that a opportunity for us, like strength for us? No, that's a weakness, right? And the technology, right? And weak management. If you have a weak management, organization එකක් විදියට අපිට තියෙන weakness එකක්. Inadequate finances. If we don't have enough finances in our hand, that's a weakness. Past planning failures. Failures, yes, it's a weakness. So when it comes to opportunities, the external factors, the positive external factors, opportunities. If we have possible new markets, if we have recognized new markets that we can reach, it's an opportunity, right? Strong economy. Now it's a strong economy in our country. If we have a strong economy in our country, it's an opportunity. So we can move on to new areas, new markets, right? We can expand our business. Smaller market rivals, like our rivals, like our competitors, it's a small number of people are there, right? It's opportunity, an opportunity. And emerging technologies, it's an opportunity. Growth in existing market, it's an opportunity, right? Threats, new or existing competitors. If we have a competitors, like those are very competitive, it's a threat, right? The competitors are growing and new competitors are there with new technology, and quality products, right? It's a threat. Shortage of resources. If we do not have enough resources, finances, employees, expertise, right? It's a weakness, like threat. Because other organizations, if they have lots of like resources, it's a threat for us. When it comes to here, shortage of resources means in economy, like in the environment, right? So if we don't have enough like infrastructure facilities, right? If we can't go for loans and all that because of the failures in the economy, right? This is what it means here, right? If we do not have enough manpower in the most people expertise, and most people, they leave the country, right? So we can't get their services to our companies, right? Most of the expertise in our organizations, they leave the country in the economy, in our country, right? So it's a threat to our organizations as well as the country. New regulations. So the government come up with new regulations which are not negatively impact to our organizations. It's a threat. Changing market tastes and cheaper substitutable options. So if this cheaper and substitutable options came to the market, people will move on to those kind of options, right? Most people. So it's a threat. When it comes to pestle, it concerns about the external environment, right? So pestle analysis, when it comes to pestle analysis, P means political, E means economic, S means social, T means technology, L means legal, and E means environment, right? So political factors, stability of government, potential changes to legislation, and global influences. There might be positive and negative impacts, right? So these are the factors. There are some more. These are some examples, right? So when it comes to economy, economic growth or failures in the economy, employment rates, increase or decrease of employment rates, it will affect negatively or positively. And monetary policies, changes in monetary policies, and consumer confidence, right? And social factors like income distribution, fluctuations in income distribution, demographic influences, lifestyle factors, lifestyle changes, right? Those type of situations. And when it comes to technology, international influences, changes in information technology, and take-up rates, right? So those type of factors. And when it comes to legal factors like taxation policies, that might be changed, right? Increases and decreases of taxes that will affect the organization positively and sometimes negatively, right? So employment laws, the changes in employment laws, that will severely affect the organization. So we need to change our plans accordingly, right? Industry regulations, health and safety regulations, right? So those are legal factors. Environment, regulations and restrictions related to environment, like that. And attitudes of customers, that people, they are moving, most people, they become vegan, and though some people, they are moving to eco-friendly products, right? They're concerned about reducing polythene usage, right? So those are the factors that we need to consider, like reusable products, right? The customers, they think about recycling and all that, right? Nowadays, there's a trend. So we need to focus on that, right? So those are environmental concerns. So this is the first step. So we need to consider about, then we need to do an environmental scanning, right? Internal and external. Here, when it comes to that, we need to be more realistic, right? establish mission, goals and objectives. So now we know what are our strengths, what are our weaknesses, and what are the opportunities we have and what are the threats we have, right? And also the changes in the environment and politically, economically, socially and technologically and the legal and the environmental changes that happen in the near future. Now we have an idea. So because we did a environmental scan as a first step, and now we need to establish the mission, goals and objectives accordingly, right? Company vision, mission, goals and objectives are very important when planning to make clear idea about future direction, right? It talk about the future direction of the organization. And market competition, changes in the environment affects organization future direction. So that the first step, the environmental scanning, will help us to at this point, right? If the organization already developed vision and mission, if you have a vision and mission, if you have already developed, they could establish goals and objectives as a part of their organization process. If not, managers should develop vision and mission as well. If we have a vision and mission before, we can set our goals and objectives accordingly. But if we don't have a mission and vision earlier, we need to consider about that, right? We need to, as managers, we need to consider about that, and we need to create a mission and a vision for this organization. Objectives should be smart, specific, measurable, achievable, relevant and time-based, right? We have discussed many examples. And to assume environmental changes and implement planning process. The plan should be realistic. So that should be very realistic, right? The plan. There should be a creative and forecasting decision-making power to implement the planning process, right? So it should be creative, it should be forecasting. Step 3, establishing reasonable assumptions on environmental changes. Reasonable assumptions on environmental changes. Based on environmental scan conducting the goals of the organization wants to achieve, planner should make justifiable and reasonable assumption on how the related factors would change the environment. An example, how the price level and interest rate would change in the near future, right? So we need to have a reasonable assumption, the realistic assumptions, right, on environmental changes. Developing alternatives. Based on that, we need to develop alternatives. Developing ways and means to achieve the goals and having options. We need to have options. If plan A did not work properly, we should move on to a plan B, right? We should have options to come across facing challenges in order to achieve vision is the process of developing alternatives. So we need to have plan A as well as we need to have a plan B, right? We need to have alternatives. Step 5, evaluating alternatives to select the best one. So we need to evaluate when we are moving to a plan. We have alternatives, alternative plans. We need to evaluate and select the best one, what we are going to work with, right? When the alternative options are decided, should be possible to implement. It should be possible to implement, right? Planners should decide on one best option to implement, right? So the planner should should decide what we are going to implement, right? Those options should be implemented, right? So we need to select one out of it. Here we need to concern about cost benefits, right? We need to do a cost benefit analysis and profit analysis, situational analysis and etc. And out of that, through that we can go for the best option, right? Step 6, preparing and assisting plan to implement. Now we are going to implement the plan, right? Once the best option is selected, now we had alternatives, and out of that we have selected the best option, and now we are going to implement it, right? We did not implement it, but we are going to implement. We are on the stage of preparing and assisting plans to implement. And out of that best option, planners should allocate the required resources. For that selected option, planners should this is the option. So through to work this out, we need resources, right? We need to allocate resources and hire personnel. To work on it, we need employees, and we need to train them. How you are going to work with this plan? We need to train and assist. We need to help them, all the members. There are managers from various levels, employees, right? We have suppliers, we might people from external environment. So we need to assist all members involved to carry out the plans, right? Financial assistance as well as expertise assistance is important. So to work out this plan, the financial assistance is important, and if the expertise knowledge is required, so we need to assist with them, right? We need to give those support in order to implement, right? And this is the plan or the alternative. Implementation. This refers to active operation. So here now we are going to implement it, right? This refers to active operation of the plan. Now we had the plan here. Now here we are starting the actual operations. Now we are working on it, right? Continuously guiding the team and evaluating the process. So we need to continuously guide our team, right? We need to guide, like අපි දෙයක් ඉම්ප්ලිමන්ට් කරාට පස්සේ මුලින්ම දේවල් කියන්නේ මුලින්ම මේ දේ ඉම්ප්ලිමන්ට් කරාට පස්සේ අපේ ස්ටාෆ් එක අපේ ටීම් එක යාලටත් ඒක අලුත් දෙයක් නේ. ඉතින් හැමතිස්සෙම අපි යාලට හෙල්ප් කරන්න ඕනේ. යාලව මොනිටර් කරන්න ඕනේ, ඉවැලුවේට් කරන්න ඕනේ, right? So continuously guide කරන්න ඕනේ. We need to continuously guide them, guide the team, and we need to evaluate the process, right? And planners should connect with the workers and subordinates closely to assure the tasks are being carried accordingly, right? And at the end, control and review the performance. Revise the process and addressing making mistakes and improvements, right? And actual should be compared with set targets. We have set the targets, and we need to compare the actual output or the actual results with the expected results, right? And evaluate the difference like with reasons, and should take corrective actions for improvements. Here we control and we review the performance. After that, environment, again, this is a cycle. This planning process is a cycle, right? It's a cycle. Now we are here, we control and review the performance, and based on that, right, if there is something happen in the environment, like we need to scan the environment at the end of the process. It's a process. It's a recurring process, right? So continuous process. So again, we need to scan the environment and see whether the target should be changed or not. Again, we are looking at this environmental changes, and again we are thinking that, do we need to change this plan? Are there any changes happening in the economy or the society? There are changes happening, but based on that, do we need to make changes on our plan? So we need to consider that, and based on that, the process continues for improvement. Again, the process continuing, right? Again, this planning process is continuing, like doing the improvements, right? This is not it is a continuous one.